Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dion's Daily Dose for the final day of August in the year 2020. August 31st, right? September's right around the corner. We are done with level 8. Level 9 of 2020 is coming. I hope everyone has leveled up and has acquired whatever you're going to need for the next level of the insanity of life. Look, today I just want to talk about we can have disagreements. We're going to have disagreements. There's going to be people that talk to us that are definitely not going to agree with everything that we have to say. Hey, Dave, thanks for joining us. Uh, and this, look, I'm not perfect. It's something that I've struggled with in the past as well. It's very easy to put that meme out there to just blast them with, holy cow, how much of this fake news are you going to digest? Whatever, right? And I just want you to take just a moment, and it's hard. I know it's hard. Take just a moment and try to empathize with the other person. I've experienced this as well, right? You have those people who watch some of these news sources. Uh, I hesitate to even call them news sources. The heavily biased fake news like CNN, MSNBC, CBS, and Fox. Remember that a lot of people, especially your middle age and older crowd, they grew up on these news sources. I've talked about this before, how they used to be, but there's always been a bias, right? It hasn't been quite as blatant as it is now. But especially people who have watched CNN their whole lives, they've grown up trusting CNN, and now it's something very, very different. Let's let's remember that some people, and it's something I have a real hard time with. As I started doing deep dives on the internet, learning about various things that are going on in our country and around the world, it's hard to remember that not everyone has the level of knowledge that you may have or that I may have about the things that they're talking about. They may only have a limited amount. That's why it's really important that we speak from a position of facts when we disagree with someone or someone disagrees with us. Remember that other people, they're still people. They may be brainwashed, be they may have people around them that feed them incorrect information. Just try to remember that you're not going to agree with everyone. No one's going to agree with everything I believe in. Even my most ardent supporters disagree with me on a couple of key points. You're going to have that. But the way that you're looked at, it goes a long way, the way that you respond to people, the way that you interact with others. Um, there's there seems to be especially online and in person, right? Some of the things that we say online, we'd never say in person. And this is on all sides. This isn't just, on the right, the left, in the middle. It's so easy to put those statements out there online and to say things that you wouldn't say to someone's face. Just try to remember that these are real people that you're communicating with. They have real feelings. Uh, and remember, too, that many people now, especially, are waking up to the con that has been the Democratic Party, and they're lost. They're not sure where to turn. If you look at the walkaway movement, for example, these are former Democrats who have said, wow, I can no longer be associated with that. But remember that these people don't necessarily believe everything that you do, but they do understand that the Democrat Party has disenfranchised them. They've moved so far to the left and embraced various things that we don't agree with. And I could go into that, but that's not the purpose of my talk with you today. just try to remember that a lot of these people, your friends, your family member, people that maybe have cut ties with you over your political beliefs, which I wholeheartedly disagree with, they don't know the things that you do. They don't know the level of the swamp, the level of deceit that has been perpetrated on the American people. They don't know all these things. So it's our job to help them along, to guide them with facts, and try to instill does believe in the things that you do. Find a common ground. Find something that you both agree on and build from there. The vast majority of people in this country believe in law and order, for example. They believe that we need laws, we need police officers, we need those institutions that makes for a civilized society. And completely defunding the police department, for example, or vastly cutting them is going to create some very serious issues. Mike, hey, look, that's funny. Michael just posted Tom McDonald. You know what? Just for a second, I'm not going to lose track, but I'm going to tell you, I went to his very first concert on his new stuff. We love Tom McDonald. I have ordered his gear and his merch, and like I said, I've been to every concert that he's had in Indiana. We also went to one in Louisville, which is funny how they say it's Louisville, not Louisville. It's Louisville. Anyway, yeah, I love Tom, man. I love Tom. He spits truth. But just remember that these people have been told, it's been pushed down their throat that the right is this and that, and they hate you, they're against you, they're just for this segment of the population, for that segment of the population. They don't care about this, they don't care about that. Just try to remember that many, many people are going to be waking up soon. They're starting to understand, right? We're seeing local politicians that are changing parties from Democrat to Republican, right? They're becoming new Republicans. They've always held conservative values. They were just misled, and family feel the same way. It's easy to forget that these people don't know all of the things that you know. I've struggled with that with my wife, Liz, and the things that I've researched and learned about, the bank. Let's just look at the Federal Reserve, right? That's a fact that everyone can look into. They can learn about it. The Federal Reserve, I know far more about the Federal Reserve than I ever even wanted to. It's not a good thing at all. But I forget that not everyone knows that. So these are things that I think it's important to lead people, to guide them, rather than to bash them or to put them down for their lack of knowledge. And we can all do a better job. We really can. I can do better. There are times when I'll get a troll or a hater or whatever that wants to say some stuff, and my first instinct is tell them to shut up, or you have this or you have that. You're dumb. Just pull back from that a moment. Take a breath. And obviously, I'm running for office, so I have to be a little more careful than everyone else. But remember that you can be the force for change, even if it's something as small as a friend or a family member that is better than what they're used to. Because remember, they have been told, and don't get me wrong, there are those who are not going to want to debate you. They don't want to learn. They just want to be angry. If someone is consistently spewing hate, advocating violence, things like that, the block button is there for a reason, right? However, if they're just talking, that's a perfect opportunity to reach across and to get the people to, like I said, start with something that everyone can agree on. Can we all agree that this would be a good thing or this is a bad thing? You start from that one thing and you build from there. That's what I've done on many, many occasions. And I think it's really important too, especially for someone who's running for office, that you have to be willing to listen to the other side, even if you don't agree with them. So that's really what I wanted to say. Let's try every day to be a little bit kinder. And it sounds so cheesy. I know it does. It sounds ridiculous, right? How much kindness can we possibly take? But can we all agree that there's too much hate in this world already? There's too much hate. There are those people who don't care what you have to say. They're going to be against you no matter what. Don't worry about them. Focus on the people who, especially the people that you've known for a long time. And until 2016, you guys could talk. You could agree on this or that. You may not agree on everything, but most of the stuff you could have a good conversation about. Since we have had, especially my wife, she has had family members that have unfriended her or blocked her because of her politics. Not because she was being abusive or hateful or anything like that, because she's not. That's not the kind of person that she is. They've just blocked her because they disagree politically. How silly is that? It is. It's very frustrating too, because there's nothing I can do about it. It's not like I can text them and be like, "You're an idiot," although I thought about it. But it's very frustrating from an outsider's perspective. And there are many people that I've talked to that have experienced that with this election. And I'm going to tell you, the media like to pretend that Donald Trump is the reason for the divisiveness in this country. It's not him. I'm going to go out on a limb here. It's the media. If we didn't have the over 90% negative coverage of the president, if we didn't have the sound bites and the clips being taken out and used incorrectly, we wouldn't have the level of divisiveness that we have in this country. Just try to keep that in mind when you're dealing with people, especially those on the opposite side of the aisle. A lot of these people are simply misguided. They really are. They're misinformed and misguided. The media is the biggest culprit in this. I wholeheartedly believe that. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, it's so frustrating. And I've used the deep dive, right? The chart to show the connections between the media and former members of the Obama administration. It's more of the swamp, right? But let's bring it back, right? Let's zoom in to the local level. Remember, there's local news is all but dead. AP, routers, those are the stories that get put out and get disseminated to all the local small newspapers, stations, stuff like that. Unless a place takes it upon themselves to do their own research, you're not going to get the real story. You're going to get what these places are putting out. Routers and AP are both owned by people who hate Donald Trump. That's just the facts. New York Times, Washington Post, all these places are owned by people who have an agenda. And these are just things that you have to keep in mind. We've seen them change headlines. We've seen all this stuff. And it's super frustrating. As a conservative who tries really, really hard to not push out any fake news, I do. I try very, very hard to make sure that I research things before I share them, before I look into them. If there's a news article, I read the article, I see what's referenced. And that's a higher standard on me because I'm running for office. I agree with that. It's frustrating, though, to see all these people that share the fake news and the lies that are out there. All you can do is try to help with facts. And just keep in mind your tone when you're talking to people. I have far less of a problem in person. I haven't had any issues in person with people other than the person who just doesn't want to listen. You'll get those. The people that you go to their door and, Democrat or Republican, well, I'm a Republican, jump. Okay, fair enough. That happens. But the ones, I had a very good chat with a guy in the Pines who asked me, I used to be a Republican. Why do you support Donald Trump? I'm not going to keep you a long time because I know you got a lot of houses to hit, but I'd like to sit down and have a beer with you and understand, because you seem like a reasonable guy. Remember, these are people, he obviously wanted to talk, he wanted to learn, and he wanted to find out, well, how could such a person who seems like such a reasonable guy, me, be misled in his mind by a person who is so bad that the media tells them is so bad? And I gave him a few things to check out. But hey, Doug, good to see you. God bless you as well. I think it's really important, and it falls on all of us to be the better person. Because especially, and I'm going to tell you, this is one reason why, I don't know if you've noticed, if you pay attention, I don't comment on the things that are just hot button topics right now. Kenosha, Portland, these are all things, and trying to think of how to say this. I'm not trying to be politically correct, but I do want to give you my stance, because I think we see so many examples of people that jump without all the facts, that are reporting on this and sticking up for this person or that person before they even know what all is going on. There are constantly videos that are coming out that show this happened, or there's more to the story, or, oh, well, that wasn't quite as cut and dry. Let's not be the inciting force that the left is. Let's not get people, I guess, lathered up into a frenzy over something that still has to make its way through the courts. We are turning into a society of public opinion. We are turning into a society where everyone is judged on social media before they ever get to court. And it's heartbreaking, because we used to be a country of innocent until proven guilty. That was the foundation of our justice system, the foundation, the thing that separated us from other countries around the world, the thing that, one of the many, many things that made the United States such a glowing beacon of freedom. You were innocent until proven guilty. Now you're guilty until proven innocent. And we've seen it. We've seen it all the way up to the presidency, where, oh, Donald Trump did that. He was colluding with Russia. He was controlled by Putin. He was all of these things. And the Mueller report's going to show it. The Mueller report's going to show it. Crickets in the clink of silverware, right? When Mueller report came out. Absolutely no evidence for that. But he had been convicted already on multiple news programs, convicted already on multiple channels. Let's not become that. Let's not become the people that we are wholeheartedly against with that type of rhetoric. That's what I'm asking of all of you. And I know it's hard. I struggle with it too. There have been a lot of times, especially, oh my goodness, Twitter, the cesspool that is Twitter. There have been so many times where I've seen something like, holy cow, let's retweet. Well, wait a minute. Let me check first. And it turns out that many of these things aren't even accurate. There are so many memes out there. And don't get me started on the fact checkers of Facebook and all that crap. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that are actually incorrect, right? It's frustrating. And Doug, you nailed it. He said presumption of innocence has died due to personal prejudices and lack of understanding the whole story. And I agree. Let's see. Michael says, well, that's an issue. We've been playing the better person for a long time now. We have. And these are the people that somehow influence the elected leaders to change the rules and laws. Defunding the police, for example. What people don't realize is I don't carry rubber bullets and tear gas. They fail to recognize that the police are the only thing between you and me, metaphorically speaking, of course. That's another good point, Michael, and I'm glad you brought that up, because let's look at the defund the police movement and all that it entails. There are those that try to say, Well, would it be such a bad thing if all of this money that's going to the police department, not all, but a portion of it, was maybe went to this instead? And you get into such a catch-22 situation because we start talking about the police with military style weapons and military style this and that, right? We wouldn't need things like that in our local police departments if we didn't have the level of criminal activity that has been allowed to flourish for so many years. We have Chicago, and this is just an example. We have Chicago, who have some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, but widespread gang issues, widespread violence. The reason that the Chicago police need weapons like that are to counter the very forces that are there. And there's a whole lot there. Criminal justice reform isn't going to happen overnight, but it is something that I am passionate about, and I do believe that there are areas that we can improve. I'll get into that another time, but I agree with you, Michael. It is an issue, and yes, we have been the better person. The conservatives aren't the ones out there burning down cities and destroying this and attacking that, but yet we're responsible for all the hate. Right. I know it's difficult. And look, as I guess I'm letting you know why I don't respond vehemently to some of the things that are said, to some of the situations that are occurring, because I especially need to be held to a higher standard than your average civilian. But I wholeheartedly agree with you that the police are there to support the fabric. And if we have lawlessness, then we are going to have vigilante type situations. A perfect example, real quick, I'm going to wrap it up, but a perfect example is Chicago Mayor Lightfoot, right? Lightfoot did not say anything about the violence, about the destruction that was occurring in her city, took no steps to stop it. Multiple aldermen and representatives from the city have talked about this openly. She could have reached out and got assistance. She could have called in the National Guard. She could have done all those things until these rioters threatened her property. Then all of a sudden, there was a line of police cars down the block because, according to her, she has a right to feel safe. So do we, Mayor. So do we. And that is what I'm talking about. The essence of hypocrisy is everywhere. But that is why I don't come out and talk about Kenosha or Portland or any of these things. I condemn violence of any kind. But the people that are talking about funding the police, the people that are talking about making it, I guess, difficult for the police to do their jobs, I don't think they fully understand what that entails. I don't think they understand that the law-abiding Americans are not going to continue to sit idly by and watch our cities burn. We're not. I have had enough. I am done with waiting for these politicians to get finished with this, to do what's right and call for the forces necessary to put the violence down. I'm done sitting idly by. And it's one reason why I am running to be your state representative, because we need more people that are willing to stand up and are willing to say, okay, enough. But there's a difference between calling things out that are obviously wrong and speaking on something that not all the facts exist for. I could go into how I feel about Portland and Kenosha and all these other locations and all these other situations. But one thing, too, is all of these issues are used to divide us. it's part of an agenda. It's been shown. It's been blatant. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. So that's really why you won't see a whole bunch of that on my social media. Is because I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to be a nicer person. But nice only lasts so long. To all of the violent rioters, because when you commit violence and you commit destruction, you are no longer protesting, you are rioting. To all of the rioters, the better person has had enough. As you saw, there is a line of vehicles headed into Portland because the people that are in charge are not doing their job. They are heading in because they have had enough. And so have I. So, and Doug, I agree. Mayor Beetlejuice, she's not. One thing that's really weird to me is if you look at the pictures of her, seriously, before her election, like several years before her election, she didn't look like that. I don't know if or if it's something else, but she looks rough. She looks rough, and she really needs a personal tailor because her clothes don't look like they fit. That's all I'm saying. I'm not exactly a snazzy dresser, but when you make the kind of money that she makes, you can afford to get that stuff that fits. That's just, I mean, come on. Just like if I had Donald Trump's money, I'd have more hair, right? I mean, it is what it is. I don't care though. That's the thing. I shine up the bald spot, right? And then I can use it to blind people around me, and the sun just reflects. I'm just kidding. All right. Thank you for joining me. Like always, if you would like to know how you can help, you can spread the word, share my social media stuff, visit my website, dionbergeron.com, click on the donate button. I could use all the funds because I'm going up against a career politician who hasn't held a private sector job in over 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it is up to us to be the change we want to see. And there's always something more that we can do. I don't profess to be perfect. I would never lie to you like that. But I will tell you that I will try the very best that I can. So thank you for joining me. God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the United States of America.